Hi and welcome. My name is Sandra Carson for Eckhart Yoga. In this sequence, we'll be opening the hips with lots of really delicious and deep hip openers. So you can release all the stress that's there and come to beautiful lotus hips that are open and relaxed. So please come to lying on your back and place your feet close to your hips on the floor. I'm going to start out doing some easy movements to just start to increase some of the flexibility. So bring your right knee to your left ankle. So your right knee drops in towards the floor. And then take your left knee out. And then inhale, come back up. And switch to the other side. Inhale, come up. And go to the other side. So the movement here is both inner rotation as outer rotation of the leg muscles, or the leg bones actually. So as the knee drops in towards the floor, it rotates in. And as you take your knee out, the whole thigh bone rotates out as well. So stay with this motion. And now allow the stretches to become a little bit more deep by pressing, once your knee is down, just gently press it down a little bit closer towards the floor. So this helps to increase a little bit of the stretch in the outer hip and in the deep inside the groin. And then bring your knees back up. Take your feet in. Cross your right foot over your left knee. And just press your right knee away from your body so the shin is straight. And then lift up your left leg and interlace your hands behind your left thigh. Then press your left thigh into your hands. And at the same time, pull your left knee closer into your body with your hands. So you have a couple of different actions going on here. The leg pushes away into the hands. The hands pull the leg closer to your chest. And there's another action going on, and that's the right knee pressing away from the torso at the same time. So the lower back will be flat on the floor, but try to arch it here. And this will also increase the stretch in the hips. And breathe. Then release your left foot to the floor, so release the hands, and just bring the toes to the floor. Take your arms out in line with your shoulders, and roll onto your left hip. And just keep your right knee pointing straight up. And even pressing the knee out again. Then inhale, come back up. Place your right foot on the floor. And cross your left ankle over your right knee. Interlace your hands. Push your left knee away from your chest. Push your right thigh into your hands, and at the same time, pull your leg in towards your chest. And keep breathing. Even try to arch the lower back here. And keep your left foot active. So spread the toes of your left foot. And get deep in the hips with this stretch. So try to become as still as possible. The body, that is. And then the muscles in the hips will start to release. Once the stretch is safe, There's no bouncing around. Then the body will know that it's okay to release some of the tension. And then slowly release. Place your right foot on the floor, toes on the floor, stretch your arms out to the sides, and then roll onto your right hip. Keep the left knee pointing straight up, so even push it away from the body. Keep both shoulders on the floor. Breathe into the stretch here and that, especially in the left side of the pelvis, the left hip. And inhale, slowly come back up. And now make your way over onto your belly. Bring your right forearm to the floor and prop yourself up a little bit. If you have any pain in the lower back, then move your arm more forward. So you decrease the curve in the spine. Bend your left knee and take hold of your foot for a thigh stretch. Just gently press your foot into your hand and your hand into your foot, and then you take the foot in towards the hip. Make sure that your knee is in line with your left hip. Your left knee is in line with your left hip. And your foot is moving to the center of your hip, the center of your butt. This is to keep your legs safe, your knees safe, and the stretch more effective. And then release that side. Bring your left forearm to the floor. Take your right foot in. And again, take it to the center of your hip. Relax your breath. So allow yourself to take deep breaths. And then very slowly release that side. Press yourself up to hands and knees. And cross your left knee over your right. Take your feet out to the sides and stretch the hips back. Keep the hips up in the air and extend your arms more forward. So the hips and the sit bones get heavy and they move towards the floor, but they're not actually touching. So this is a nice way to stretch the glutes and the outer hips. And then inhale, come back and change the crossing. So take your right knee on top and stretch back. Just keep breathing. Let the hips get heavy towards the floor. And then inhale. Come back up. All fours come to sitting. And take the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. Now, if your lower back is really rounding here, if you have a hard time sitting up straight, or your knees come way up above your hips, then take a block to sit on or a blanket or something like that. Hold the outsides of your ankles and just gently press your feet into one another. And then with your hands, pull your ankles away from the floor, so you're pulling them up. And at the same time, press your knees more down towards the floor. You shouldn't feel any pressure in your knees, but you should feel a deep stretch in the inner thighs here and deep into the hips. So keep that. So we really want to keep the legs active here to open up the hips. The muscles in the hips, there are numerous muscles, and they're very strong. And they can get really stiff because we tend to hold stress there. So we need to do a little bit of work. We need to put in a little bit of effort to start to open these muscles. But once they're open, boy, it's worth it. You'll be able to relax more, maybe even to sleep better. Then inhale, slowly bring the knees up. And now extend your legs straight and cross your left ankle over your right knee. So you come into a seated 4 pose. Place your fingertips right next to your hips, right next to your right leg, and inhale. Press your sit bones into the floor. Keep your foot flexed and active, and press your left knee down. And then exhale, bow forward. So if your lower back rounds in this position, if you're here and the pelvis tilts back, then please, again, take something to sit on so you can pull the lower back in and extend more from the hips, or flex more from the hips. You want to bend from the hips. Then inhale, slowly come up. Extend your legs straight and bring your right ankle over your left. Fingertips on the floor. Inhale, press your sit bones into the floor and extend your spine, and exhale, bow forward. And just see where you can start to release any other tension that you might be holding, like, for example, in the neck and the shoulders. Let your eyes soften, let your breath relax so it's deep and full. And inhale, slowly come up to sitting. Release that side. You might be ready, if this last pose was really quite manageable for you, for the next pose, which is Agni Stambhasana. If this last pose was quite challenging, or your spine was rounding, then stay with that pose before progressing to this one. Here you want to bring the right shin to the front of your mat and place your left ankle on top of your right knee. So this is fire log pose. Again, we want to keep the feet active, so press through the inner edges of your feet as much as the outer edges, and press your sit bones into the floor, and then bow forward any amount. So you can take your hands forward. And again, if you're in this pose and your left knee is all the way up, then extend your right leg straight. You want to have the knee always in line with the hip bones. And that's safer for your knee, and it's really a more effective opening for your hip. Then inhale, slowly come up and change sides. And you may notice too that one hip is more open than the other hip. So that's always interesting to observe. Press your sit bones into the floor. Keep your legs active, your feet active. So press through the inner edges of your feet. Extend your spine and then bow forward. Take your hands forward. And again, return to your breath. Relax the shoulders. So these poses are also a good kind of practice for us to how to deal with stress. We can be in quite a tense situation in one part of the body. Can we still practice on being very soft and relaxed in the rest of the body? So release your shoulders, your neck, and your face. but staying very aware with your legs, keeping them active. Then inhale, slowly come up and release your leg. Now we're going to see how far we can get into Padmasana, into lotus pose. So take your left foot up and support your shin. So really, the reason we do this, if you only hold on to the foot, then the ankle will bend, and that will not benefit you. So you want to keep the ankle straight, and your foot is a little bit in a Barbie foot, between a pointed and a flexed foot. So press your shin up, your ankle up, and then pull your heel as close to your navel as possible. And at the same time, see if you can take your left knee to the floor. This looks a little awkward, but it's good to support your knee. And then you pull your foot up as high on your right leg as you can. Now this is half lotus pose. Yeah. Ideally, the knee is on the floor. Why? It's supported here, and there's no pressure in the knee joint. Yeah. So don't force yourself. If your knee is way up here, then you can go back to the 4 pose. And then release that side. And we'll take the right leg. So again, floint your foot and hold on to the outside of your shin and your foot. Activate your foot, pull your heel towards your navel. At the same time, rotate out onto the right knee, and then place your foot onto your left upper thigh, and then sit. So Ardha Padmasana, half lotus. And then release that side. And now if you're ready, you can do half lotus again. Maybe you want to try full lotus. So same thing, hold your left shin, pull it in, foot is flexed, heel to navel. Turn onto the left knee onto the floor, and then place your foot down. Yeah, and then you take your right foot, floint it, activate it, and then pull your shin in. By pulling the shin in this way, I'm actually protecting my knee joint. Yeah. So keep the feet very active. They are flointed, which is an actual name, an actual word. And just release your sit bones into the floor. And then release that side. And of course, we're going to do the other side as well. So pick up your right foot, floint it, heel to your navel, and your right knee on the floor. And then once it's on, then you do the other side. And you take it in. Again, ideally both knees are down, but they're certainly underneath your hip bones to do this pose safely. So make sure that you keep yourself in check, you respect your body's boundaries. And then take your hands in Anjali Mudra. Thank you for watching. Namaste.